And I'm with Phil Gaughan, and a busy week, Mr. Gaughan, with press releases and huge stuff. I mean, let's start with the ferries. And you want to spend £3.5 million of our money building something for the ferries to dock to in Liverpool. Have I got that right?
Almost right.
Okay.
We want to spend £3.5 million in ensuring that we have a location that we can have a sea terminal or ferry terminal in Liverpool. Now, what we know is that the Peel Group have a load of very exciting plans for the developments around the Liverpool waterfront, some fantastic multi-billion pound plans. What we have been offered effectively is a really good site in the midst of this development, which will be, in my view, a fantastic facility for us.
So Peel Holdings have come to us, or to you as a government, and said, look, there's a site, give us £3.5 million or whatever.
There's lots of complications and nuances to all this. So let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago, the government was concerned at Baby Leaf Salad Gate, where there was a risk that there weren't going to be enough of the various perishable goods in the shops over the Christmas period, because there'd been some bad weather, and also I think there'd been a breakdown or two that the steam packet had suffered. And at that time there was no real backup capacity. So the government at that stage said to the steam packet, what could you potentially do to assist us here? And then over the course of the next few years, the steam packet and the department had some discussions. The Arrow obviously was hired in and has been with us now for some time. Not part of the user agreement, but it is there. It's been a really useful addition. Anyway, during the midst of these discussions, it was also became evident that actually the steam packet, at the end of this calendar year, it's licensed to operate from, or lease, whatever it is, to operate from the Liverpool landing stage comes to an end. And then, of course, the discussions came up about the Mayor of Liverpool wanting to have a cruise liner berth right outside the pier head, the liver buildings where the steam packet currently go. So steam packet start discussions with the Peel Group to see what alternatives there might be. The discussions fall because the steam packet only has 10 years left on its agreement, and Peel wanted a longer term agreement. Obviously the steam packet couldn't sign up to a longer term agreement because it didn't have one, so it didn't know that it was still going to be operating. At that stage, Peel came to, or discussions started between Peel and government, and in the end we've got to where we are, which is an opportunity for government to buy a piece of land in a hugely valuable development area at which we can have a much improved facility for passengers coming to and from Liverpool.
But it'll never be quite as good as what is there. I mean, it's an awesome place, isn't it, where you can literally, next to the liver buildings and all that, and just walk down to the thing. This is going to be a bit further away, would it be?
Well, it's about 800 metres.
Oh, so not too far.
So it's not really very far,
okay.
And it's going to be a substantially better facility. You know, we will be able to have a far better facility, possibly also some meeting rooms and things. Because again, the link with Liverpool and the Northern Powerhouse is really important for the Manx economy. So there's a great opportunity there. And I think we've had some discussions, held a few workshops with Tynwald members because it is such a big issue. I wanted to make sure that everyone had their input into what was coming to Tynwald, rather than just waiting till Tynwald having a debate, at which time you find that maybe you should have had a different motion.
Sure,
then.
But is it for the government to own this rather than the ferry company, whoever has the
Well, of course,
usage?
the issue is if you didn't own it and Peel Group said, actually, we would rather like to build a multi-billion pound development and that terminal is now in the way, they could quite easily say, well, actually, we want you to shift into a more obscure, less helpful location. The fact that we own it means for the next 236 years, we know that we have a prime location in Liverpool that we can use.
So this is not like a Pinewood investment. This is actually you buying a plot of land
Absolutely.
of Peel.
Absolutely.
And you own it. The government. So you're running the airport, you're running the ferry service, and that sort of thing. You that's how we look at this.
Yeah.
Okay. And any indication from any of the backbenchers that this is not going to happen, or
I think generally the majority views that I've heard have been supportive, and again I'm I'm here to present the best possible case I can to Tynwald. If that case isn't good enough, if Tynwald members don't support it, that's for Tynwald members to decide.
You're going to get through before the...
But this is going to July Tynwald.
Yeah.
It has to go to July Tynwald, because if we don't get agreement on this land purchase, or a decision on the land purchase, there's no way that Peel Holdings or Peel Group, I forget which part it is, are going to be able to say to the steam packet, okay, you can carry on using the pier head until such time as we get this other facility developed. If we don't get an agreement on this, then Peel is going to say to the steam packets, sorry boys, your agreement comes to an end, therefore you can't use Liverpool.
You've had it valued, right? Independently?
Yes, absolutely.
And is it worth 3.5 million or more?
Absolutely. I mean,
or is he giving us any discount, or is just we paying the market price for them?
It's a reasonable price for what we're...
Is he doing us a favour? I mean, you know, Peel Holdings and all that.
You wouldn't expect me to negotiate on via MTTV. What we believe is it's a reasonable price. The valuers that have looked at this have said this is a reasonable price for what we're getting. There's still some negotiation going on as to how much of this is actual land and how much of it is sea, and because there's a lot of work going to be needed to reclaim certain areas. So we'll be doing some piling and building out into the water.
Peel Holdings do the work, do they? I mean, that's part of the contract that they'll do their own.
That's another part of the discussion, and we could. The proposal is that we go out to a public tendering exercise for design.
So you're not completely tied into their own group?
Absolutely not. I mean, it may be that Peel are successful, but it may be other organisations could do it.
Where are you getting the money from?
Well, again, the proposal at the moment is that we would look to getting a private operator who would potentially come up with the money. These things are still to be determined. You're
not taking the money out of the reserves then?
Well, sorry, the 3.5 million we will be spending from government's reserves.
You've got it, have you? Because I mean, obviously the health minister's been busy buying up things.
Well, so I mean, despite everything, we still have reserves not that dissimilar to the reserves we had when we started 5 years ago. And bearing in mind all the problems that we've had, we've still got 3.5 million anyway left in reserves. In fact, several.
If you didn't take this up, is there a plan B? Would there
be?
If
we don't take it up, I mean, we've seen from the steam packets that they've been trialling other ports, particularly Holyhead. There is talk that Birkenhead could be used. Birkenhead isn't really available as a passenger facility, and our usage there can only be seen as a temporary use. So they could go to Holyhead. They could actually do that in the current user agreement.
Does this outcome affect who is actually running the ferries, by the way? I mean, is it suitable for all sorts, or only for certain operators?
It would be any vessel. It would be big enough for any vessel that could fit within Douglas Harbour. So it is a good all-purpose facility. It doesn't have to be steam packet specific. Right.
Time scale, because obviously you say lease is coming up on the old one pretty soon. So is there going to be a gap, or will you be able to continue?
What Peel have said is that if an agreement is reached and they know that there's a long-term or medium-term solution on the cards, then they will reach an agreement with the steam packet for temporary patching up of the pier head over the next few years,
so you can stay there,
while the new facility is developed.
And did you say it's a lease rather than buying the whole thing out?
Well, it's a very long-term lease, so that's what the steam packet has to sell. I'm not quite sure how land tenures work in the UK, but effectively it's a lease of the site. So the steam packet, the Peel Group owns this for a large area of the Liverpool waterfront. And they had it for 250 years, 14 years ago. So that's why we've got it for 236 years.
Funny, are you comfortable this is going to go through?
Well, I certainly hope so. The latter part of the motion is more specific about the steam packet's offer. And again, I think the offer's a good offer. I think it brings certainty. I think it probably could be better, which is why we've added a few little additions at the end of the motion to say we think that we need to get greater financial transparency as part of this deal from the steam packet, and also we need greater and stronger break clauses as part of the agreement. But again, I'm sort of open to suggestions from Tynwald on this. If Tynwald doesn't want to support this, that's fine.
Well, then it'll be a new house, of course, won't it? So
well, yes.
that's the end of your tenure, or possibly on this particular...
And what we, effectively the motion is drafted in such a way that it doesn't close the door to a new Tynwald making decisions. What this is effectively saying is you are already having negotiations with the steam packet. It could either say we think those negotiations are going well, stick with it, and we agree that you need to have greater transparency and break clauses, or it may be that Tynwald turns around and says, actually we think that this is a waste of time and we want it to go out to tender in 7 years' time. But at least we'll know after the debate. I think if we do go down the flat rejection route, though, we are very much tying the hands of a future administration. This motion is just giving some comfort to the Peel Group and the steam packet that we're moving in a particular direction, but quite clearly the next Tynwald will be in the position to make the final decision one way or the other.